certain voices do better in the marketplace now than other voices do. My perspective on things is beyond just coaching people. I'm a voice actress myself and a talent agent. So I work with things. I cast for Kroger last week. I cast for things often. And so I really know what's going on with regards to auditions and what people are listening for. Let's talk about it. Okay. So I set this up in two different kinds of thought processes. The first is going to be with regards to performance. The second is how to land more opportunities. And they're kind of two categories to me. When you think about performance, you want to think about first understanding your target market when it comes to auditionings. That's hugely important. You shouldn't just go in and just read a voice over without really understanding your target market. You should have some strong acting skills, which we'll talk about, being sure that you're not a voice reader, you're a voice actor. You want to understand your timing. And this is a big one. We'll talk about that because timing really does matter. And also, of course, your studio quality, which we'll talk about. And then the second half, we'll talk about better opportunities, meaning how do you get opportunities when you've got hundreds of people in the marketplace all after the same opportunities? And a lot of that comes down to obviously replying quickly, the amount of samples that you have, varieties of genres that you're able to do, and how quickly you're able to turn things around. So let's kind of dive in. Performance. Let's talk about target markets. So many people will come in and say, well, what is it that I'm good at? And if I know what it is that I'm good at, that is just what I'm going to do, which I totally am down with. I understand that. That being said, there are things that sell right now and things that sell less right now. So when you go to audition, beyond just you doing what you want to do and what you're good at, you need to do what the market demands. And that's something that I think a lot of times people might not necessarily think about. When you get an audition script, the very first thing you want to ask yourself, of course, is who is the target market? Are we talking 20-year-olds to 40-year-olds? Are we talking 40-year-olds to 60-year-olds? Are we talking about people who might be in the financial world, people who might be in a more casual environment? Is it Nike or is it basket weaving? All of that comes down to the target market, and you want to be able to have the skill to market your voice towards that target audience. So that's the first thing that I would love for people to think about. The next thing, and this is a more important thing, is acting versus reading. So many people get into this business because they have a nice voice. And I can't tell you how often people will call me and say, I've been told I have a beautiful voice and I want to do voice acting. And I'm like, that's awesome. You can do that. However, if you don't have acting skills to go along with it, especially with AI coming right around the corner on our tails, you're going to end up not landing as many auditions because you're just going to sound like you're reading, and that's not going to emotionally connect. So what I suggest when it comes down to really beefing up your acting skills is a couple things. The first thing is, I always suggest to people, spend 5 to 10 minutes a day kind of in your heart center in an emotion. And this might not be something for voice actors that you think about very often, but often commercials are emotions of joy, they're playfulness, they're calm. And if you spend 10 minutes a day feeling joy and you're doing the laundry while you're feeling joy, and then maybe you pick up some unrelated material on how to, I don't know, clean out your garbage disposal, and you read that in the feeling of joy. Now, when you get your script, you're able to pick up your script, feel those feelings, and immediately slide right in. And new voice actors that are not landing things all the time. I mean, for voices.com, I was a part of, a number of times for them, I've done these reviews of voice actors who have said, what am I doing and where can I improve? And they're new voice actors looking to land auditions. And half the time, more than half the time, my very first question is, who are you talking to? And they go, oh, I didn't think of that. And I'm like, that's one of the most important things I want you to start thinking about is who are you talking to and how are you going to move them emotionally from your heart center, human to human, to their heart center. And that's what's going to get us beyond the AI. So we want to really work on acting skills. Another idea could be do some on-camera acting and or maybe some improv. if you go to do something like that, that's another idea to grow those acting skills, or work with coach. So that's one thing that I say always can really, really, really help your auditions. Timing. This is something people never think about, but think about this. There's a 30-second commercial, right? And it doesn't necessarily always say 30 seconds. Sometimes it'll say like, okay, this is a commercial for a bank. Okay, the person on the other end, whether it's an agent or whether it's a client, is listening to your audition. And they all come in, there's one back to back, you get the first 10 seconds. That's really all they listen to. They listen to 10 seconds, then they know, and they go on to the next one. Imagine if your first 10 seconds drags. Imagine if you are slower than everybody else and everyone else has this quick commercial timing, and then yours is at an e-learning pacing, or maybe it's an audiobook pacing. You are dead in the water out of that audition, and you don't even realize that you're not getting cast, and it has absolutely nothing to do with your voice. So timing really matters. And just when it comes to timing, so audiobook narration is about 125 words per minute. Commercials are about 155 words per minute, and a fast commercial is at about 180 words per minute. So timing really, really, really is something to practice, and it really does matter. You want to look at that audition and know what the timing should be so that you're matching the proper timing. Studio quality. Okay. Some people will say, okay, I don't want to spend a lot of money, which I totally understand. I haven't made a lot of money in this. I don't want to spend a lot of money. And the thing that I will say about this is, again, when you're listening back and you are a client, it's a job. The person on the other end is hiring you. We get into voice acting because we love the arts and we love expressing ourselves and all of that good stuff. But the person on the other end is hiring you for a job that they want to have that's really good quality. So when you come back and you've got bounce back in your room, or you've got, the traffic noise that's going by, or your mic is not quite picking up the beautiful depth of your voice, but there's another guy who's right after you who's got a little bit of a better mic, that does make a difference. I have a Neumann mic that's my best friend that I've had for like 15 years. And I swear to you, that mic gets me more work simply because it's a great mic. And right now, as you can see, I'm in a temporary space because I'm in the middle of moving and I had to take my studio down. So I have to, for the next month, work out of my closet, and then I'm having a professional studio built. But I just picked up my Neumann, moved it into the closet, and it actually still sounds amazing. It's because it's a good quality mic. If I had a lower quality mic, it would be picking other stuff up. Now I understand you don't want to spend a lot of money. I totally get that. What I will say though is at least get yourself some decent soundproofing and check your studio quality in your car. Record your auditions as an MP3, then head out to your car and listen back. That would be a worthwhile thing. And you know what else is worthwhile is I know that we want to have our auditions, it's a numbers game. I understand that. You want to have as many auditions done as you can. And they say you want to have your auditions, 3 to 5 minutes per audition is optimal. And I totally understand that. However, it's really worthwhile in the beginning when you're first starting out auditioning to do your audition, and feel free to submit it, or maybe not. Maybe take it down to your car, go get your groceries, then come on back, look at the specs, listen to your voice, or the next day listen back and self-evaluate yourself and say, do I sound like what the specs of what the director is looking for, or am I sounding off? Is my studio quality off? Is my timing off? All of those kind of things are things that you can really, evaluate yourself. The other idea is you can create an MP3, hop into your car and listen back, then go onto YouTube and pick, go look at the brand of that client and see if you're on point. Always check your brand. That's one thing that I would say of an audition. Always check that brand and make sure that you're on point so that you can kind of self-evaluate outside of your own studio. And that's something I really want to bring up with these auditions. As voice actors, we are really insulated. We're in our own little world, in our own little studios. And it's really, really hard to get feedback and to quite understand what people think of your voice. Sometimes joining workshops. I teach a workshop. I just started one. That's really helpful where you have weekly, regular script building. But even if you're not able to do that, take the time to be your own critic and to compare yourself against what you might hear on the internet, on some of the commercial brands that are similar to the things you're auditioning for. So those are performance issues, when we think about the things that are really going to bring us to our clients. And I might come back and bring some stuff about that. Okay, now let's talk about how is it that you're going to get better opportunities. And I apologize, I am babysitting a few dogs and I have a plumber here all at the same time. So while I'm doing this, oh, I see somebody in the chat here. Is there a regular viewer? Yeah. Oh, you're welcome, Mark. And yes, I actually, my email's here, rachel@bigbytestudio.com. I host a weekly workshop. It's full right now, but I have a wait list for my next one. So if it's something that you want to just get put on the list for, it's $29 a class. And we do things like this coming week, I'm going to be doing dialogue with people, so dialogue scripts, and working on taking direction. So we'll be doing dialogue scripts and we'll be throwing direction at each other, and I give coaching and some information back on that. So I think that got that. What time is it usually? Oh, you're in Italy. It is right now on Tuesday nights from 5 to 6:30 Mountain time. So that's what that is. So anyway, okay, so, but feel free to keep asking questions. And if I don't get them in the chat too, you can hop on and ask. I'm going to leave some time here in the end to answer those questions. And if my workshop doesn't work for you, there are lots of other workshops out there. And I really do suggest creating, you guys are in this Discord group, which I think is the most wonderful thing because you have lots of people to bounce things off of. But anytime you can start working with other people and have feedback, I think that's one of the most important things that you can do. Other people have different ears, as long as the people are positive and supportive and create a good community for you. That's really the most important thing. Okay, so yes, I see you shaking. I see you nodding your head. Yes, because without quick replies, you do not win. This whole auditioning thing is a game. I have a casting right now. It's for an audio drama. It's a 40 actor. There's 40 roles. There's 29 lead actors. It's a local thing here in Denver. And when I ran the first casting, that first group of people was my first group that I was able to listen to and throw into the pot. And I have now extended the deadline till tomorrow morning. The client asked me yesterday for the auditions. And so they already have the auditions. I've left the casting open until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. However, those people that come in after that time, I will still submit them, but they're late. And so by the time you get to those people, there could be 50 other people who are pretty good candidates who come in beforehand. So you really want to reply quickly. And on the pay to plays, the best thing that I can say is if you're up to 40 other people before you, you probably don't have a great shot. And then to get to the 40 other people before you, to even get in that position, it comes down to how much you pay and also what your rankings are. Unfortunately, that's the situation there. So you pay more, you get opportunities sooner. You get lots of likes, you get opportunities sooner. So replying quickly requires you to figure out a way to be able to do that the best that you can. So with this replying quickly, something with your auditions, if you have a good studio setup that you can hop into, like I do not right now, where I have to go in and out of my closet, that's not efficient. And I can't land as much stuff as when my studio is set up in a little booth where I literally see the audition come through, walk in, do it, and submit it. That's what you want. And the other thing is, think about a process, you guys. When you audition, think about coming up with a process. And that process for me, when I coach people, is always first, acting skills, target market. I call it your heart center. The very first thing you want to do is be like, okay, who's my target market? How do I want them to feel? That is step one always. Do not please pick up a script and go, boop, and start reading it. because you're going to be a voice reader, not a voice actor. So first step, acting skills. How do I want my listener to feel when they're using the product? Step number two is tools. How am I going to read this? How am I going to bring the client name to life? How am I going to bring this story to life? Where am I going to put my emphasis? That should be your second decision instead of just reading it, making some of those decisions until you become so agile that you can do that quickly. And then the next step is listening back, making sure that you like what you've done. And then step number four is going back to those acting skills. If you have a process that you do with every script when you get it, and you start to get yourself in a good rhythm with that, you will actually be more efficient and get your auditions done faster than if you just pick up your scripts and you're like, I don't really have a plan for this. Okay, hang on a second, and I see, no, okay, just making sure of that. Okay, so let me go here to the next thing. Okay, and I don't know if you guys know this, but all of these pay to plays, and this is not just for pay to plays, this is for other things as well, like castings, like agencies and such. Having lots of samples in different genres is a really great thing. For the pay to plays, you have to have a lot of samples. You want to have a really, really good cornerstone demo, in my view, so that you look professional. And then you want to have lots of samples that are in the same kind of quality that you would have in your commercial demo. And I know it's hard to achieve, but at least when a client listens to let's say that a client's like, oh, we liked Mike's audition. Let's go check out his demo. So they go, we liked Mike's audition. We're going to check out his demo. They listen to your demo. They go, wow, I really like him. Let's Google him. Of course, that's the next step. So they go Google you and see where you are compared to Mike and Jim and Joe. So those three people that they were all looking at, see what kind of reputation you have, see where you are. Then they say, okay, we like him. Let's go listen to his other samples. What you don't want is you don't want those other samples to be poor quality. They don't have to be as good as your commercial demo, but they have to be really, really decent because your client is hiring you to do the job. And so they want to make sure that you can do that. You want to have lots of samples with titles on them that match the algorithm that particular pay to play has, if you're on a pay to play, because that's going to get you higher up in the rankings. And if you are trying to get a talent agent, at that point you want to make sure that your samples are directly related to the type of talent agent that you are going after. So if you're in Austin, Texas, and you want to do animation, then you want to make sure you lead with your animation demo, and maybe you've got some anime after that and some different things. If you're in Los Angeles and you want to get an agent there, well, that's different. You probably want to make sure you're able to handle commercials and animation and possibly internal things like documentaries and that sort of thing. So I know that's a very, very kind of broad thing to say to people that are like, we're just starting out, we're not sure what we're doing. But what I will say to you is that baby steps with it, and just keep growing your craft. And as you grow your craft, you can make more samples and grow your brand, because growing your brand is really important too with regards to auditioning. Okay, variety of genres. This is an interesting discussion. A couple of years ago, there was a whole big buzz on the internet about staying in your lane as voice actor, and I totally get that. Okay. Because when you go on those pay to plays, I believe if you get likes on stuff, it brings up your rankings, right? So you want to kind of stay in your lane so that you get a lot of likes. That being said, one of your guys' goals should be beyond just landing auditions, is when you land your auditions, how do I turn this into a long-term client? Because that is how you build a voiceover business. And in my view, being able to do that is being able to have different genres. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. The voice of Legend Bay Casino, I'm his agent, and he has been doing this kind of announcery voice for quite some time. They reached out to me, and I was just talking to them this morning, last week, and said, can we have Weston, that's his name, can we have Weston come back and do something a little more casual? We're thinking of making a change. Weston's a master voice actor, and he's able to do it like that. So he's able to make that change. But when you only stay in your lane and you don't grow and you don't get coaching, you go, I'm only going to do this because this is what I'm good at. That's okay for winning auditions in your category as time goes on. But I really highly suggest growing your skills as you're going, because you want to be able to keep those clients. Same thing for me. I mean, I did Delta Dental. I did their trainings first, their manuals first. Then I did their commercials. Then I got to voice the Grouchy Rabbit and the Tooth Fairy because I have the skill set to do all of those things. So you want to be able to do a variety of genres and have samples doing those genres so that you can really match what it is that you're looking for when it comes to your auditions. And the other thing is when you're auditioning, if you're able and you have the skill set, I always recommend saying, do takes and doing one take in one style. Maybe it's in the professional style. And then one take, hey, maybe I'm totally casual and I'm just gonna do this in a casual style. So you may want to do it in two styles. If you're able, I do not recommend though doing two takes if you're not able to pull off two styles. Don't do it because it shows a lack of ability to be able to do multiple kind of things. If you can pull it off though, I really do suggest it because you don't know what the listeners listening for. And I want to kind of tell you who wins auditions, by the way. And the same thing, I've heard this for on camera, but I think the people that win auditions are the people who can match the director's specs. That's one option, people who really match what the director's looking for. Another idea is the people who win the auditions is they bring something to the table that the director has not thought of. And they're like, wow, that person just did something that I'm like, wow. And you don't want to do something nutty. You don't want to bring in a British accent when it doesn't call for a British accent. You don't want to be a girl voicing a boy when it doesn't call for that. All that kind of stuff's a little weird when it comes to what the castings say. But something at the table that they're like, wow, that guy has more warmth or earthiness than the other guy, or they brought this to life. And the other thing that I say for the people who win the auditions is that person who is memorable. However, you can be memorable in a way that the other people aren't, whether it's bringing brightness to your read, whether it's a little bit more zippy, a little bit more on point with your timing, whatever that might be, you want to be more memorable so that your auditions are kind of rising to the top. Okay, I think this is the last one I think I have here, quick turnaround. You guys, probably a lot of people work. Normal thing to do. The thing about it though is this quick turnaround matters to people. I know when I was auditioning, I don't really have to audition much now in my career, but when I was doing a lot of auditioning, I would literally go after the auditions that said quick turnaround. And I would just stay up all night if I needed to get them turned around quicker than the other people because I figured that was going to build my career. And so that's a really helpful thing. And I do want to just tell you guys one more thing about this. To talk about auditioning and the pay to plays. I did something really weird this past year. I wouldn't call it weird. It was an experiment though. Because I am a coach, talent agent, and a voice actor myself and an on-camera actor, I don't want to give any suggestions or advice of things that I don't know about. I don't want to just make stuff up. So I decided to sign up for Voice 123 this past year. I paid $1,200 to do so. And it was an experiment because I don't have time to audition, but I was telling people, oh, the algorithm is for every 100 auditions you do, you can land 3 to 5 because that's what I've been told. I am a coach for voices.com. I've been told that over and over again. And I was like, I want to see if that's true. Signed up for Voice 123. I hadn't been on that platform in 10 years, but I had about 300 or something likes from when I was one of their top performers 10 years ago. So I already had that advantage. It was at about 93 auditions. I did them in 2 weeks that I landed 4 on the platform, I believe, and 1 off the platform. And one of them was the US Army. And so I made 3 times my money back in that period, right after that period of time. So, and I know I'm a female and I know that I've been doing this a long time and I had a lot of likes, but that algorithm for me was true. So if you're doing it right, you should be there. Now, if you are getting to 150 auditions or so and you are not landing things, go find a coach, go find a group. You're doing something wrong. Or you have the type of voice that's not selling right now, which is a possibility too. That does happen. And if that's the case, if you have a voice that is not casual sounding, which is really the type of voice that's not selling right now, then you need to work on that. And you need to get into a more casual kind of sound so that people can feel like you are welcome and part of the culture in the way that things are selling right now. And I think that's it. Okay. I was going to talk for 30 minutes and then answer any questions. And I can answer questions about anything. It doesn't have to be Auditioning, I am all about community and I love, love, love. When I coach these workshops, it's so great. We have these communities and these Discord groups, and I love that people are helping each other because it is such an isolated kind of job. So, do you guys have any questions about talent agencies or AI or anything you can think of? I'm happy, except for technical stuff. I'm not the best at technical stuff. Anybody have any questions? No, I just heard myself talk for 30 minutes. No questions? Okay. Well, then, thank
I
you for
have
having
one.
me.
I have one if you have some
Yes,
time.
I have time.
Um, when you're facing a ton of auditions, let's say you're crazy busy one day, and you've got to knock a lot of stuff out. Um, you said that you wanted dedicated some time to make those decisions about your scripts, right? Um, how would you go? What is your mindset like? How do you go about making decisions when you've got a lot of decisions to make and not a lot of time? Is there sort of like a default
Yes.
set of rules that you adhere to, or
That is such a good question because I'm like that most days of the week, to tell you the truth. I did a, let's see, what day is it? Thursday? I've done a voiceover every day this week and I did one on Thursday, yeah, Thursday or Friday of last week. Some of those, though, this week were edits. So I'm under that situation often. And here's what I would say is at first, when you have the time, go slow. So when you have a slow day, get yourself consistent processes and start getting that muscle memory for those processes. And what that means to me, every one of us is different, is step one. Who is my target? You always ask these questions. And once you get used to them, they start to go fast. Target market and acting skills. What is the vibe of this script? You should never, ever, ever, no matter how busy you are, ever let that not be a thing. That's your first step. Then you want to look at the script and say, okay, what is it that the director or the writer is going to want me to draw out? That takes a minute. Both of those things only take literally 30 seconds. The next step is reading a portion of it. Maybe that takes you 5 minutes. Maybe read a portion of it and listen back and then you're good to go. And if you have a system, and the other thing is when you go to do your auditions, physicality, make sure you're standing with your feet flat on the floor, you're not looking up, you're not looking down, and you have a physical placement that you do for every job so that you've got a routine and you just walk in, you do that routine and it's seamless. That's how you can get through a lot in a little time, in my view. But you have to do it slowly when you first start because you're not used to doing it. So you're probably like, but try to be consistent with a system. That's what I would say.
one more question? And
Yeah.
you may not have ever had to deal with this before.
Okay.
Um, a question on physicality. What if
Mhm.
you can't stand?
If you can't stand, I can give you, yes, I have had to deal with that.
I
I've
can
worked with
literally. Oh, have you? Okay, yeah. Because I
it.
have a whisk room, but I am a very large person, and I don't fit. I'm too tall. So what if you can't
Okay.
stand?
Okay. So if you can't, and I was thinking more of a disability because I've worked with people with disabilities. If you have a whisper room where you have to sit and you cannot stand, I'm just going to tell you the things about standing. I know you can't do it, and then I'll tell you what to do when you're sitting. The thing about standing is the physicality in your body brings that it factor because it brings brightness. So if you were to stand on your tippy toes and brighten your face, you suddenly you're going above your script instead of going up to your script. When you're sitting, you're kind of emotionally and physically going up to your script. So that's why I'm such a big fan. Now, if you're sitting and you have no choice, here's what you need to do in my view. Put your fingers right here, please, and your temporomandibular joint. So where you open and close your mouth, and then bulge your eyes out. Go like that. That is lifting your soft palate. I know it looks ridiculous, but it's so important because if you lift your soft palate, you are bringing brightness to your sound. When you sit, you're like this, right? And so this whole area is smashed down. You're not going to win the job against the other guy who's standing, who's got that brightness in his voice. You're just not. So if you brighten your soft palate, that lift, and you use your hands to move, and you sit up straight and you use your physicality as much as you can, you want to bring that brightness. I always say, he who is zippiest and brightest wins. That's what you want. You want to bring that brightness. You do not want to sound sluggish. So you've got to do that. If you make that silly face when you read, that will help. Fair enough.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I actually had a question to sort of lead off on that. First of all, thank you so much for hosting this. Really greatly appreciated.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just a question that sort of occurred to me, the standing versus sitting, because I find that sometimes if I want to be more casual, because I'm somebody who I do talk a fair bit online, so oftentimes my casual conversation stance is actually sitting down. So I was
Right.
wondering if maybe you actually find that there are situations in which you prefer sitting, and in some situations that you prefer standing. Because for me, I find that is the case, but I was wondering if maybe you could provide some more insight on that.
Well, for me personally, I always stand because I like the energy. But that's a great question because when I work with studied actors, and I've worked with actors who are way more accomplished than I am, with theater and TV and such like that, and sometimes they're simply too big. And so, what I will have them do, I've had them come when this used to be a studio, I would have them sit down and I would actually have them put their hands like this, their faces down, and I would make them read and I would say, "You're small, you're tiny," because you have to take this bigness out of you. So, I think it depends on who you are. But here's the one thing I will say about that and caution you with. If you're going to sit down, check yourself with other voice actors and make sure you're still bright. Because what you don't want is to sound flat and not using your physicality unless you're a really big personality. Sitting down can sometimes make you sound flat. So but I totally agree with that. And all of us, anything that I say or any other coach or any other voice actor says on the planet Earth, we all go on our own journey to get where we go. And we all have our own backstories and we all have our own situations. So if it works for you, then that's awesome. But make sure it's working for you. That's all I can say. Don't just do it because it's comfortable. Because just because it feels right doesn't always mean it's right.
I was in a situation similar to Jared. Well, not, I didn't shrink, but my space became bigger, I should say. When I was having to sit down, and I noticed when I was standing, there was a big difference in my read because I did theatre stuff in the past, but many
Ah,
years ago.
oh
Being
yes.
able to stand brought that physicality, but sometimes I had the impression. I know this is really. I'd hope this. I'm not accidentally turning this into an open-ended conversation. If anyone else has a question. Okay, approved. All right. Thanks, Shogun. Um, what I was saying was, in my case, I was under the impression that at times, for some scripts that didn't require, I was too theatrical, too projected, and
For
I think
sure.
maybe that was akin to something that you were talking about. Um, Actually, no, there isn't really a question. I guess I'm just talking. My
No, but
apologies.
that's the thing. And I call that sparkle versus shimmer.
Mhm.
And when I'm working with actors, what I say about that, just to answer that question, is when you feel an emotion, you want to share that emotion with the world when you've done theater, right? And that's what you're taught. And that's a cue. Those emotional cues are important. They tell you that you want to make something, bring something to life. But in voice acting, when you feel those emotions, you have to keep them within the realm of using your pitch and your rhythm and the voiceover sound. So that is very typical of theater people. When someone calls me and they want to coach and they've studied theater, almost always I have to bring you down. And when you've worked in a corporate job for 30 years and you call me, I have to bring you up emotionally. So it's just, we all get conditioned. We all speak the way we speak because of conditioning half the time anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, you guys? No? Okay. Well, I
Hold on,
appreciate.
I got a quick one. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so at what point do you abandon the audition? Because I usually have a 3 read rule on the audition. Like I will do the audition, and if like I go through the script 3 times and I still don't feel like it's right, then I toss it.
Interesting.
So
I think that's up to you because I don't really have a great answer for that because I think we're all different. And I can tell you as an on-camera actor, there have been many, many, many times because when you do on-camera acting, there might be a couple directors or producers that are there, and you show up and you can't abandon an audition. You have
oh sure, yeah, right. Right.
But
Yeah.
those are half the time, and this is a
Yeah.
common thing that you hear actors say, those are the jobs you land. And you walk away and you go, oh, I felt like I didn't land that one. And those are the ones you land because they're flat and they wanted someone casual. So I almost never abandon an audition myself. I keep challenging myself unless I really don't feel it. And I can tell you sometimes for me, I don't know if you have this, like you said, sometimes I'm in the middle of auditioning and I look at it. I guess that's not true. Sometimes I do abandon them. I look at it and I go, this is, I don't feel this. This feels like, ugh. And then I just throw it away and I just move on. So I think it's really up to you. But I think if you can pull it off in a way that sounds pretty good, then challenge yourself to do it. That's what I think. But what do
Sounds
I
great. Yeah.
What do I know? Everybody's going to do their own thing. You want to do what's going to work for you, because what if you do a bunch of junky auditions and your rankings get low and people are like, I don't want to hear from Mark, his auditions. And I was listening this morning to a casting, and there was a girl who put in for a bunch of boy roles and girl roles for that 40 person. And it really kind of agitated me because I was like, I have to take her out of all of the boy roles. And then when she came to the girl roles, I was like, do I even want to listen? Because now I've already got this taste of like 7 other characters of her trying to be a boy that didn't sound good. And I did listen and she was fine in the female roles. But so there is a fine line there with like, what you kind of decide to do. A polite way of saying the script is awful. Yes, that's true. Yeah, I was going to use a word and then I thought, no, you're recording it. Don't use a word.
No.
Oh, by the way, I am recording
That's
this. And I'm happy to send it to you, Mark, if you want, and you can do what you want with it. I might put it up on my YouTube channel. I don't know. Half the time though, when I do these things, I am such a teacher that I end up giving away way too much information that I'm like, that's why I'm like, do I really want to share it? Because I don't know if I do, because then it's just too much information out there that I, shouldn't probably be sharing. But anyway, anything else? I see 2 chats in here. Let's see. Oh, my channel? What do you mean? Like my YouTube channel?
Yeah,
Oh,
yes. YouTube,
it's just
yeah.
Rachel Alena. If you go to YouTube, it's Rachel Alena. And then my website is rachelalena.com. And on my channel, I just really put like some voiceovers that I've done, or I put these, when sometimes I get paid well to do these kind of sessions sometimes for big companies and stuff. And when that happens, I sometimes will put them on there. If somebody else records them and produces them and all that. Maybe I'll put this one. I don't know. So, anything else?
I've got
Okay,
one, if
I,
you don't
I,
mind. Oh,
Yeah.
you go ahead. You go ahead. You go ahead. You go ahead.
no, go right ahead.
That's all you. That's all you.
Okay, so you mentioned, first of all, thank you for this. This is exponentially helpful to me.
Woo! That's
Sensei,
cool.
and I have to thank the sensei up top. Thank you, sir. You mentioned that basically a 3 to 5, basically, if I heard you right, out of every 100 auditions.
That's what I've been told, and
Okay.
it worked for me. That was the case.
Okay, my question is that was new to me. I have heard the anecdote that your niche is what people pay you for.
Yep. I've heard
So me as a relative beginner, I am, what am I? From 365 auditions, I've already landed 12.
Great.
And from one of the free platforms, I have a client that I read for, and they told me that they liked what they heard, but I didn't fit this project. They'd be back for me. Came back to me in 15 days, and I'm 350 scripts read in for them already in 3 months.
Wow.
Right?
Good
It's not a great deal of money, but as a new guy, I just treat it as a paid internship.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't have that. Yeah.
My question would be, because of the different variations of stuff that I have gotten jobs for, well-known banks, cable services, do I go from that and pick which one I seem to do the most of to kind of focus on? Or do I continue to do what I've been doing, which is each day I practice a little based on each job that I've gotten?
So please, people are going to argue with me about this, and I will go head to head with them. I don't care, because I have a really strong feeling about this, just from what I do all day as a talent agent. Please do not set yourself in one genre. That can be what you lead with. Lead with that. If you build a brand, build it with that, but you need to be versatile. What you want to do, like those people that called you back, you want to get on rosters. That's what you want. You want to be that guy that's on a roster, and they go, just call Michael. He'll do it. And what happens is you get production companies who represent clients who love Michael. And they're like, we'd like to hear Michael on the museum project. Oh, we'd like to hear Michael on the pen project. We'd like to hear Michael. And so you really want to be able to be that guy, because that's where, in my view, the money is. Now, if you're a master at one thing and you land a long-term contract, like the Dirty Jobs guy at that contract forevermore, that's awesome. But I would probably guess that he's good at a lot of other things in addition. And he just became, I want to share one quick story with you about that. I was the voice of Microsoft's internal trainings for a year and 9 months for their recruiting department. And I did it in a very professional style. Well, styles changed and they came back and said, we don't want that anymore. We want it in a different style. At that time, I was not able to do the other style very well. I auditioned for it in like a totally casual kind of style like that. And they hired me, and I cried for 2 weeks because I worked all the time in a genre I was really uncomfortable and not very good at. But after that, I did Old Navy, Banana Republic, The Gap, Schnucks Groceries, and I work in that genre all the time because I grew those skills out of desperation because I didn't want to lose my job. So that's a long answer to your short question, that if you're good enough to get hired to do those things and they're asking you to do them, grow it and grow bigger than that and do more, because you'll have opportunities then from those people.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and I see just a couple things here in said chat. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And that is amazing. I agree. Okay, anything else before we are done here?
I had one more if you have some time.
I have time.
So there were actually I have two more. There were some questions that were asked preemptively in one of the Discords. And I just want to go ahead and ask them really quick. The first was about cold calling. This is something I know nothing about. Is that something you know anything about that you could give us some tips about?
Well, so you're saying do it? Are you saying Mark? You're saying cold call?
Yes, I'm a big fan of cold contacting.
Yeah. So you might know more than I do. I mean, when I started my career, I started I've been doing it for like 30 years. I shouldn't tell you how old I am, but I did cold calling myself. Way back when. Times were different then, though. So if Mark's saying to do it now, what I can say is that from my perspective now, being on the other side of it, I hope that nobody ever calls me. If anybody ever calls me, they are on my block list. Like, do not bother me. I don't answer my phone because at one point in time, my phone was ringing all the time with people that I did not know. And I was like, don't call me. So for me personally, I'd rather not be called. That being said, when I give people consulting advice on business, I say, you got to call. You got to call and see who that person is that is going to receive the demos, and are they accepting demos and all that. So I do know it's a thing to do. But being on the other side of it, I'm like, please, I don't want my cell phone blowing up while I'm out having, dinner with my kids. So that's just me. So there's two sides to it. So if Mark says do it, then I say go for it.
I wanted to articulate, excuse me, that I really mean more emailing than calling, because
Emailing, yes.
I just think calling, it's cold contacting, really, I should be thinking of. Yeah.
Yes, so yes, definitely to emailing. And here's what I will say about that. If you're going to do it, which is definitely something you should do, I would be more focused and research who you're going to reach out to. I beg of you, do not send a giant list of people and put my name in a giant list of people. That's a very generic thing. You will not get a good response from that. You need to look at, I would think you'd be better served to pick 30 places, put them all in a spreadsheet and just be like, okay, these people focus on this, and I know that's what their business is, and I'm going to be direct reaching out to them with email. And email, absolutely, yes, I would say. But make sure that that person, even though it's a pain for you, that they don't feel like they are just a number in, that you're just like shooting darts and they happen to be the lucky one who's in there with 100 other people.
Well, thank you. That was incredibly informative.
Awesome.
I'll do my best to learn more. I don't know anything about it. I'll do my best to learn more. The last question that I had that somebody had asked was about audition prep. Do you have a specific like vocal warm-up routine that you do before auditions?
Yeah, well, so me personally, I have a degree in music. I have a degree in
wow.
voice and then piano, and then I also went back to school for business. So I warm up. I'm a singer and I sing, like in July or August, I have 5 gigs in August. I mean, I play all the time. So I wake up and warm up my voice every morning, when I'm just first up in the morning. So I would say gentle warm ups. What you don't want to do is overstretch, but I would, you could do the la 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 just to get them nice and warm. And remember that face I told you to make, that crazy face? If you do that while you're doing your warm ups, then you're helping to lift that soft palate. So yes, I do that. I also use a mouth spray that really helps, and I use like chapstick so that my lips don't get extra dry when I'm speaking. And what else do I do? I do some articulation exercises if I have a fast script, and if I've had a sluggish night and I'm really tired, I do that as well. So, but that's kind of a lifestyle thing for me personally. It's pretty much a lifestyle that I know I'm going to be using my voice. So, and really the truth is I usually do it about 4 days a week. I'm pretty lazy. If you don't do that, I will tell you this, if you don't keep it up, then you start to get really, your eyes don't start following what you're going to do. You start making mistakes. You're just not like, so you got to be just constantly practicing and warming up. That's what I think. But it's easier said than done. I'm not a master at it myself. That's it. Got it? Okay.
Rachel, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
I mean, this was really amazing. And, before you give away too many secrets, I want everybody to know that you can find Rachel at rachelalena.com. And she is available for coaching. So please look her up, utilize this resource, call Rachel or email Rachel. And really, what I learned in this hour was incredible. So thank you so much.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah. And it's not for me, like I love people coming to me for coaching and all of that. I am a part-time coach at this point in my life. I used to work 7 days a week when I was coaching for voices.com and through the talent agency and all of that. So for me, I love coaching and I'm always there to coach with people. But at this point in my career, I really love being a part of a community. I know that might sound crazy, but that's becoming just what's happening to me as time goes on. I love being able to share what I know just because I've been doing it for so long. So that's why when Curtis mentioned it, I was like, oh, I'll give it. It feels good to be able to give back a little bit. So I really do appreciate that. But I also wish you guys such wonderful things for everything that you do. And it was nice to meet you all. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, thanks, Mark. And I wish you all wonderful things, and peace out. We'll see you soon. Does that sound good? Okay, bye guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody.